Creating a seam is simply taking two pieces of fabric and sewing them together. So the hem is one that we folded under. The seam is where we actually are putting on two. So the first seam that you're going to sew on your project is when you attach the lower pocket to the background piece of your locker caddy. We want to line up the edges so that they are very even. We don't want to have it sitting like this because that doesn't line up. We don't want to have it hanging off the bottom. So the best suggestion I can give you is line up the bottom first and then line up the sides. Now when you're pinning this, we want to pin perpendicular to the edge. That means intersecting. We're not going to run them in a parallel line. You want to pin through both layers of fabric, and we're really looking for about 5 pins on this. You can certainly do more, but don't do any less than 5. And you want to make sure that you're pinning all of the sides that you're going to be sewing. So if we're thinking about this as a pocket, there is one side of this that you definitely are not going to do any pinning on, and that's the top. Because if you pin it, chances are you're going to sew it, and if you sew across the top of your pocket, is it really a pocket? So place all your pins so that they are perpendicular to the edge. A little backwards pinning action for you there. Okay, make sure it stays lined up, and once you have it pinned, you can head to the machine for sewing. Okay, this video is a bit of a twofer. You're going to actually get how to sew a hem, but you're also going to get how to sew a pivot. So we're going to start by sewing on this pocket that we just pinned on. So we're going to start with our top of our pocket, the top right hand side, so that we can place it up next to the magnet. We're going to lower the presser foot and lower the needle so that we are at the very top edge of the pocket. Take the first pin out, and we're going to sew forward, counting to 5 and doing a back stitches just like we did when we sewed the hem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back stitch to the beginning. Okay, and now to continue our seam, we're just going to follow the edge of the fabric, making sure that we maintain 1/2 inch so that we have the proper seam allowance the entire time that we're sewing. Now when we get down to this corner here, that's where we're going to employ the pivot tactic. So what we want to do is we want to start gauging where it is we're going to need to stop. And the answer to that is about 1/2 inch from the edge. So you can kind of eyeball it. If you want, you can always make a mark with a piece of chalk. But when you think you're 1/2 inch from the edge, lift the presser foot, and it's very important that the needle remains in the machine, and turn your fabric. Now if your fabric is all bunched up, you haven't gone far enough. So in this case, I need to go one more stitch. But it's tricky. If you try to go one more stitch with your foot pedal, you might overshoot. So take your hand wheel and turn it towards you to go one more stitch. Now if I had turned and I was too far away, so say I went too many stitches forward here, and I turn and it's not touching the magnet. Okay, turn back, hit the reverse button as many times as you need to go as many stitches as you need. Once you're at 1/4 inch, you lift up the presser foot and turn, and it should stay right lined up with the magnet. And we sew to the next corner. And again, at the corner, we want to sew ourselves a pivot. So we're going to gauge where we're going to stop. We're looking for that 1/2 inch. Check it by turning your fabric. And if it touches the magnet, then we're golden. And then we can continue to sew our seam. We're going to go all the way up to the top of the pocket, at which point when we get all the way up to the edge of the pocket, we're going to do our back stitch and then sew again to the top of the pocket. So we're going to come to the top, back stitch for 5, sew forward again, and when we get to the top of the pocket, we're going to hit the scissors button and take it out, and you have actually created your pocket with pivots at the corners.